Nevertheless, you do like games after all. You're not completely dead inside. Hey, speak for yourself, man. Town Square. Innsmouth Town Square, the beating heart of the city. A big attraction for local tourism, it is animated by groups of visitors who are chatting away in the sun. A lot less animated are the lethargic locals who are lurking about the square. A rather creepy-looking fountain is in the middle of the square. A gigantic fish-like stone statue stretches its claws towards the sky with water flowing out of its menacing jaw. The water sprays into the air, providing a refreshing breeze to tourists sitting around the edge of the fountain. Yeah, welcome back to Innsmouth, the Innsmouth case. I've backed up to the point of the town square because I believe there was more to this area that we did not fully look into. Yeah, there was more to this area that we did not fully look into that I could have. So I'm gonna skip ahead to the point where I'm making decisions again. So we have gone to the fountain. Last time we went to the fountain, we were near tourists. We noticed someone stalking the tourists. We went and stopped him, took him to the police station, and then got sacrificed. That was interesting. We've never gone to the town hall. We've not gone to the police station outright. And scope out surroundings. Scope out the surroundings. Oh. The town's Sintra is dilapidated and seems to be completely dead. None of the footpaths are maintained, and weeds have worked their way into every crevice. You notice carelessly dumped fast food packages, beer bottles, and other trash. Some are narrow-sided streets between the houses are so cramped with bulky trash that you wouldn't be able to walk along them. Many of the houses are in a poor state of repair, cracked windows, loose wooden boards hanging off the walls, and doors nailed shut. It's impossible to tell in which color the houses were originally painted. You were struck by a bad stench several times, the cause of which you would rather not investigate. As you keep walking, you get to a kind of shopping street with a number of small shops. Half of them seem to be abandoned. The first shop on the corner is a snack bar. Its name, Joe's Pizza and Burger, is printed in big letters on individual sheets of paper. Right next to it, there is a shop for fishing gear, then a hairdresser just a few doors down. In that shop window, you can see faded photos of trendiest haircuts that the 1970s had to offer. Behind the hairdresser, you can make out a kiosk selling sweets and magazines, and also a liquor store wedged in between two empty buildings. Opposite you find a shop whose name seems to be Zan. Judging by the windows, it's a music store. It's a music store. At the other end of the street, there is a building with the inscription Arc Am A Cads. The letters are made out of neon tubes, but some appear to have burnt out and never been replaced. Maybe some of the shopkeepers will be able to tell you about your clients. Just Pizza and Burger, Baker Shop. Look at the boarded up shops. Continue to the arcades. Definitely gone down a weird side street. What about Just Pizza and Burger? When you enter the snack bar, you are struck by an unappetizing smell of fat. Behind the counter is a gaunt teenager who looks like he's bored out of his mind. A name tag identifies him as Chud. Chud is wearing a stained apron splashed with fat and other substances. Ew. His face is haunted by the most gruesome acne you've ever seen. Haven't seen my face then, have ya? He turns to you and stares at a spot somewhere on the wall behind you. After a few moments of annoyed silence, Chud asks, "What do you want?" Look at the menu. Ask about the missing girl. Do school kids ever come by here? Chud is oblivious, obviously not interested in conversation. That's a really strange question. Do you know this girl? You're holding up the photo of Tabitha. You're holding the photo of Tabitha up to Chud. She's gone missing and I'm looking for her. He looks at the picture with indifference. Are you going to order anything or not? Bribe him up with a tip. Keep pressing him on the issue. Bribe him. Alright. You pull a $20 bill out of your wallet and wave it around. As for your tip, you show him the photo again. Maybe you can add a little more service. Chud finally shows some motivation, but his eyes are more on the bill than the photo. Let's see. At that age, maybe they know her in the arcades? That's where kids are mostly these days. Put the bill on the counter. You leave Joe's Pizza and Burger. We are actually making progress to finding Tabitha. This is not what I expected. Look at the barber shop. As you approach the barber shop, you first wonder if it is permanently closed. What you initially thought was a reflection of light is actually dirt. Are there no hygiene inspectors in this town? No, there probably used to be. They probably all got sacrificed to a fish god. Sure. Chiming the doorbell is the only greeting as you step through the door. The shop seems abandoned, and a thick layer of dust has settled on chairs and upright hairdressers. A line pattern adorns the wash basin and floor. Looks like some water damage that no one cared about it enough to sort out. Just as you begin to wonder why this store was open at all, you hear it. A peaceful snore. It seems to be coming from behind the counter. Look before you talk. Careful not to lean on the dusty counter, you try to make out the source of snoring. In a rather uncomfortable, twisted position, a man in his 60s is lying on the ground with his head propped up on a shelf. Has he fallen off his chair? Has he injured himself? The man opens his eyes and you quickly dart back, but you're sure that he spotted you already. A hand slams on the counter and soon the gentleman attached to the hand gets up. With the embarrassment of a gentleman who has fallen asleep during a gala dinner, the shopkeeper adjusts his glasses and hair. He stares at you in disbelief. You look rather fancy. Ask about the missing girl. You're actually not interested in what's happened here, so you get straight to the point. You get out the Polaroid. I'm looking for a missing girl, Tabitha Marsh. The man glances at the picture, then at you. His right eye starts twitching uncomfortably, and he hisses at you. What do you want from me? Maybe it's not a good time? Oh dear, is that the time? That's for a haircut. Well, why do people go to the barber? You say carefully. The barber gasps for air and lifts himself a few more inches. You want me to cut your hair? The guy is a bit too excited for your taste, but he seems to have found... Nevertheless, you do like games. After all, you're not completely dead inside. Hey, speak for yourself, man. Goodness me, is that the time? Of course! I subject these poor bastards to all sorts of horrors, don't I? I'm never merciful when Cthulhu's involved. Of course, goodness, if only you hadn't entered this store. The barber claps his hands and hurries over to the sink to prepare it for the hair wash. You take off your hat and run your hands through your long flowing hair, through your locks, over your short hair, over your bald head. The bald head part would be hilarious, but I'm interested in the fact that we actually get to choose this. Why do I feel like this has more of an impact than I thought? I'd say I'm a lot closer to this, through your long flowing hair. You take a seat in the chair in front of the not-so-quite clean sink. Mr. Baldwin puts a cloth over your shoulders and you lean your head back into the sink, and after some height adjustments, you even manage to get into a relaxed position. You feel a stream of warm water on your scalp and hear a slight humming from the tap. Your hair is very well groomed. What would you like me to do today? Just trim the tips, please. A perm, please. I'd like a clean shave of the head, please. A perm, please. You grasp the opportunity by the forelock. You've always wanted to improve your appearance. A perm, please. Ooh, excellent choice. After the shampoo treatment, you can feel that the conditioner is being massaged into your scalp. It feels so good you begin to enjoy this. After your hair is completely clean, Mr. Baldwin rubs it dry with a towel and asks you to sit on one of the chairs in front of the mirrors. The old barber sits down on a swivel chair and puts an old-fashioned fabric projector over your shoulder. Huh? He starts brushing your hair. That may be a reference to some old-timey thing that I don't understand. He starts brushing your hair. Try small talk, mention the missing girl. Try small talk first. Maybe a little small talk will loosen the guy up. And, what else have you done today besides sleep on the floor? Your head is moved forward with a jerking motion. You can't tell whether this was intentional or not. Please let me focus. With firm press, he tilts your head lightly. The barber probably has other worries than responding to your half-hearted, rather offensive attempts at conversation. I've never been the most gentle. Nearly done. The barber solemnly sorts out a few last strands of hair. With a content smile, he holds a small mirror to the back of your head. In front of you, in the large mirror you admire. Your glorious perm. Admire his work? As to avoid having to pay. We already know there's a chance she's in the arcade, but I genuinely want to make progress towards finding the girl. I feel like that's going to be one of the most complicated endings we could ever possibly get. So, I want to make some amount of progress towards it, even if we end up going completely off the rails and getting killed in a different ending, rather than actually finding her. I do want to kind of try and save finding her as like the literal final ending we get, but there's 27 of them, so it's kind of hard to know what ending I am going to get and whether or not it's going to, you know, actually be her ending. Admire his work. Crane your head back and forth to admire yourself in the mirror. Wonderful, skillful, perfect. Oh, you, the hairdresser interrupts you. You know we don't think much of strangers here in Innsmouth, but you're one of the finest people I've ever met. His hand lightly squeezes your shoulder, then he removes the fabric protector so you can stand up. Okay, I just misread. You take another look at yourself, then put your hat back on. Mr. Baldwin's already standing behind his counter, typing into his old register. Sounds of the keys ring like music through the old, dusty shop. You can briefly picture what life must have been like here when business was still flourishing. That'll be $25. Mr. Baldwin hands the receipt with a polite smile. Your eyes start to water slightly as you count the loose bills in your jacket pocket. The old man thanks you and puts your money into the undoubtedly empty till. His hand strokes the counter, then ponders the dust on his fingers. I really should clean up sometime. He wipes off the dust on the edge of the counter and, as a goodbye, smiles at you apologetically. You didn't think to... I should have made a fuss. Time to move on. The chime of the doorbells bids you farewell. You decide which shop to enter. Look at the boarded up one. Apart from these, the shop streets doesn't have much else to offer. Faded wooden signs sway gently in the wind and identify one shop as a bookstore, another as a DIY store. The shop windows are boarded up. Okay, continue to arcades. Making progress. The games arcade is hard to miss. At the end of the dead shopping street, a shrill neon sign draws attention to itself. You think it looks rather retro, although the people of Innsmouth will probably think it's state-of-the-art design. You approach, familiar sounds start ringing in your ears, a hard mix of cheaply produced gun sound effects and mysterious sounds from pinball machines. Oh, here we go. Games arcade. This cocktail of synth effects gives a jolt of nostalgia, annoys you already. You can stand a lot there, but you're a bit worried tinnitus, epilepsy, and you're pretty sure you heard about carpal tunnel syndrome in connection with computer games. Nevertheless, you do like games. After all, you're not completely dead inside. Hey, speak for yourself, man. A few touristing families who who have ventured into the city center with you were all dragged in here by their excited children. Now you two pass through the gates of the realm of flashing lights and bad ventilation. It's extremely dark and the screens of the devices appear to be the only light source. I'm kinda curious, old arcades were like dark, weren't they? They were usually dark. And even some of the ones that still use like original consoles and stuff, were they dark because that made it easier to see the screens, or was there a different reason for that? Kinda curious about that. Families, slackers, groups of teenagers, and individual children crowd together in front of screens to catch a glimpse of the games that are currently being played in order to have a shot at playing them themselves. The arcade is smaller than the elaborate archway initially suggested, but the equipment is not so bad for a small coastal town. Everything is beeping and flashing. Look at the games, look for the missing girl, look at the games. One of the most important lessons you have learned, not from your own cases, but television, is to look out for the small things. Only an absolute beginner would ignore the slot machines and look for the missing girl straight away. You, on the other hand, are playing the long game. Oh, you have no idea. Maybe you'll see your name token on one of the high score tables. I swear to God, if we actually do, I'll laugh my ass off. Maybe you'll be able to improve your own reflexes, to upping yourself and steal your nerds by playing a few rounds. A little girl is missing, but you'd rather play a round of computer games. Don't worry, no one will ever find out. As I said earlier, speak for yourself. How often will you return to Innsmouth, you ask yourself? The answer, of course, is hopefully never again. So you might as well make the most of it and try to leave new high scores for posterity. You're interested in the pinball machines, retro game machines, first-person shooters? None of those. The retro game machines. You can see a bunch of old machines which looks like they're from the late 80s. They're Nani the fuck? What do you mean from the late 80s? When is this taking place? There are barely any people here. A lot of small screens show a swirl of flashing pixels that are barely even recognizable as games. Some of them even have two colors. At least the games are cheap. Better not touch them. Try playing for a little bit. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, what the? Oh my god. Here we go. References. Polypixel War. I don't recognize that one. Street Kicker 2. Street Fighter. P-Fried? No. Pixel... Okay, I only recognize Street Kicker 2, so let's go ahead and do that. The mother of all beat-em-ups. A classic fighter game with lots of colorful fighters. You think about playing a few rounds, switch to another game, start a fight. Off we go. You quickly identify the buttons for hitting and kicking, but you don't yet know how to do any special maneuvers. The second opponent beats you up badly. Give up, put another coin in. Just by random experimentation, you manage to find the block move. You expertly wait until your opponent attacks you, then surprise him when he prepares for a special move. You manage to clear the level. The timings of the next opponent, however, are less clear and you're knocked out again. Give it another go. You put more money into the machine. You discover that one of your moves briefly stuns your opponent for long enough to do one of your own moves. Professional gamers call that a stun lock. You don't do enough damage to knock out your opponent, but when your timer runs out, you win because your health bar is a little bit fuller than the other guys. Yet, in the next level, your opponent manages to block your attack and you lose again. Then you should start doing your actual job. Nope, put another coin in. You want to put in more coins, but you're out of quarters. You take this as a sign to continue doing your job or look for other gaming machines. You frantically search your coat pockets, jackpot, a quarter, and a few nickels. This should do nicely. Pinball machine, the first-person shooters. Pinball machine. On one of the walls, there is a row of pinball machines. Curiously, no one is playing or even looking in the direction of the machines. It's as if they're an invisible barrier that you have to cross to get into the area. Not even that unlicensed 80s movies themes seem to be of interest to anyone. Perhaps it's not so surprising after all. Who would try to chase after a real metal ball if they can hunt down virtual demon zombies? Fair enough, but I damn well know if I ever run into a pinball machine in the real world, I will give it a try. Even if I manage to lose 20 bucks on it. The good thing about pinball machines is that they're cheap. You only need a few coins and don't have to queue. Out of the 3 machines available, you go for the one with the vaguely recognizable but definitely not licensed science fiction theme. The machine's barren spell has finally come to an end. You put a quarter in and it rumbles awake from its deep slumber. It lights up and pinballs shoot out at the bottom right corner onto the play area and start jumping around between the bumpers. This is great. You've forgotten about how cool reality can be. Using the 2 buttons on the side of the machine, you can move the flippers. Hectic and erratic, considered and focused. Considered and focused. The ball flies into the upper region of the machine and bounces off the bumpers and lands on one of the higher up flippers where you manage to hold it. Your fingers frantically jab the buttons and the flippers go up and down, and then the ball slowly rolls back down a little shaft on the side closer to the void. You start screaming. It's pure adrenaline. The frantic flippers manage to lift the ball up a fraction, but then you drop it right down into the middle. You've lost before the game even properly started. The machine flashes and beeps almost as if it were laughing at you. Now you know why no one else is playing the pinball machines. You step back and put some distance between you and this hellish machine. You still have 2 games left over, but you'd be happy for someone else to suffer through them. You decide to go back to the center of the arcade. Try first-person shooters. Fantastic. Who would have thought that you come across one of your favorite games here in Hicksville? Shooters obviously cost more money, but the graphics are the best. The pixel blood sprays abundantly, and you can shoot at the screen with neon plastic weapons. Annoyingly, this is where most people are queuing. It would take a while until your turn, but from what you can see on the screens, you're sure it will be worth it. Your choices: Boom, okay, Doom, Quark. I have a feeling I'm gonna recognize these a bit more. So, Quake, Mansion of the Unliving. I'm pretty sure that's the House of the Dead, right? It's an old shooter like he described, but it recently got a remaster, didn't it? Let's go for Quark. Quark 3, a classic shooter which doesn't even try to pretend there's a plot. Your opponents are monsters from another dimension, that's all you got to know. Sadly, the queue in front of Quark is the longest in the whole arcade, and while you're contemplating whether you're the kind of person who would queue for hours to play a computer game, even more people joined the ranks of those waiting. You can't possibly wait until midnight to have a go, so no Quark 3 for you. Oh, come on. Okay, second choice. Boom. Boom, another classic in the shooter genre. Boom is about demons from hell who had taken over the research lab on Jupiter. Or was it Venus? It was Mars, you twit. That's all you can recall. It's been a while. You're a bit hazy on the details of the story. Q for Boom. You've made your choice. You join the throng of people watching the current player of Boom. The screen shows dark corridors of a space station, and every so often, hellish creatures crawl out from their corners to attack. Red pixelated blood splatters on the screen when the demons are being ripped apart by bullets from the 5-barreled shotgun. After several players bite the dust, it's your turn. That was faster than you had anticipated. You put in all the coins you have left over, and your hand wraps around the neon plastic gun. The screen turns black. The message reads, "Prepare for Boom." It comes up on the screen, and you get ready. All you have to do now is shoot. Chaotically. Okay, you're writing a copyright line with McGordon there. Ooh, you're pushing on that one chaotically. You blindly and incessantly fire in all directions. That's always been your formula for success. You wave your gun about and keep randomly jabbing the trigger. Indeed, afterwards, everything is dead. Your audience, however, is less impressed with your gaming style. What a noob! Lucker! Sadly, there's no time to find out whether these were compliments or insult. Your shotgun bullets have a ravenous effect with demon brains. The second level, your lift arrives at a lower floor of the space station, or is it hell? Your opponents are getting stronger, and after surviving a few more dingy corridors, the first challenger appears. Waves and waves of demon attacks you as you try to protect a computer console which is controlling something. The game would be ace if only it accepted that there's no discernible plot. Ah, was that a jab at Doom? Oh! You face the demonic hordes by running circles around them by taking shelter. Circles. These creatures must be wishing themselves back into hell while you rain down bullets on them. Always moving like a human tornado, you sweep across your enemies. The massive juggernauts and amongst your enemies try to attack you, but you manage to dodge them easily. When the demon waves slowly subside, your awestruck audience congratulate you. Whoa, we lost any health. There's even some applause. Level 3, supported by your growing fan base, you secure the mine shaft and nothing stands in your way. At some point, you can't withstand increasingly difficult opponents. When you have to shoot one of the demons in his open heart, the weakness of your line of attack begin to show. Not long after, you're surrounded and torn to pieces in an impressive bit of animation. Not too bad, one of the teenagers says to try and cheer you up. My turn, another cries and grabs a plastic gun from your hands. Oh well, the machine took all your coins, but it was worth it. Give the search for Tabitha another go, but given the bad lighting in here, even if the girl were standing a mere 2 yards away from you, there's no way you would recognize her. After walking around the machines a couple of times, you give up on finding her in the arcades. You leave the arcades on wobbly legs. After all the flashing colors, incessant beeping, and shooting sounds, you welcome the dullness of the shopping streets. We've done everything but what we were supposed to be doing. At least we know she's not down there. Maybe she could have been when we started. The evening has already begun. Have you really wasted the whole afternoon here? It's unfortunate, but a good investigator knows when to admit defeat. After all, you were paid in advance. It's time to go to the hotel. Ooh, here we go. Simply gorgeous is what you consider. Simply gorgeous. The CR really agrees with you. Noble paleness in your cheeks, lurid eyes, and your hairline high above your intellectual-looking forehead. A good day. You venture deeper into the bizarre labyrinth of this hotel floor. You manage to find your room, and you only get lost once on the way. Freshen up first. Fresh armpits are what distinguish humans from animals. You enter the bedroom under the flickering ceiling lights, whose lamp has probably never been replaced. So we fall into the dream once more. I'm gonna skip ahead to decisions. I've read a bunch of this twice now. Clear your shoulder, run faster. Run faster. The figure in the distance has already disappeared behind the next corner. Maybe you can still catch up with it. The alleys wind through the town in confusing ways. Nothing makes sense anymore. Wherever you move, you never arrive in the place you expected to. It feels as if slowly but surely you're walking right into the jaws of a massive monster. All of a sudden the walls close in on you and the path becomes so narrow that you have to walk sideways in order to fit through. Whatever is behind you is getting closer. Squeeze through, keep going. There must be another way. Taking a step backwards, the building of the strangely narrow alley extends high into the sky. Innsmouth didn't have buildings that high, did it? No. No windows for you to climb in, no doors for you to knock on, and there's still something behind you. Keep moving. Ooh, there's no point in following this endless labyrinth forever. With bated breath, you turn around, look down the street, you just came from and or face what was pursuing you. No matter how hard you try, your eyes refuse to look directly at it. We read this before. Close your eyes. You close your eyes and, the fear is gone. Did that thing really look that horrible? Did it actually resemble the creature from the cartoon series about a school full of monsters? It was naked and carried its 2 eyes in its hands. Cartoon series are pretty sick sometimes. Open your eyes. Heavy steps announce the bizarre creature is approaching. Wait. Keep calm. Your mind is racing. Not looking directly at the creature has suddenly allowed you to come to your senses again. You can hear steps, slimy, shape-shifting steps. Quick, what now? Run, kick it in the face. Nothing matters anymore. You shift your weight, swing your leg, and kick. By Jove, you kick. Your initial plan was to kick that thing in the face. This is easier said than done with a shape-shifting blob. But if you're lucky, maybe a head will spontaneously form your foot lands. No sound, no steps this time. It sounds more like a wet sack falling over. Good kick. Heavy load has been lifted off your shoulders. You feel free. Okay. So we survived the dream without any fear. A wonderful dream, the kind where you face your subconscious fears and defeat them. Maybe the fact that your subconscious has projected an obnoxious blob should give you food for thought, but you can go over the details with the therapist later. The successful fight against this nightmare creature has relaxed you. You sleep the sleep of the righteous. Something like that. But last time... Yep, here they are again. Your sleep is only interrupted when you hear a soft chant, Ia, Cthulhu Fatanga, again and again. It seems a group of people have invaded your room while you were sleeping, carrying torches and pitchforks, having squeezed themselves between the bed and the closets, their faces hidden by hoods. You're quite grateful for the hoods because they hide the hideous faces of these locals. You're suspicious that radioactive waste has been disposed of in Innsmouth is confirmed once again. Why the torches dance frantically on the wrinkled faces of the people staring down at you. Shining beetle eyes, bulging lips. You've never seen these deformations many times during a short time in this town. While the crowd merely gazes at you like you were an animal in a zoo, a pop-eyed man with sunken cheeks leans over you. In his hand, he holds something shiny. He's holding a knife right over the place where your heart is. The man remains in his position and clears his throat quietly. Hello? Oh well, this is inconvenient. Scream. Hey, what the heck? Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me, you beg and feel utterly pathetic, and the people under the robe seem to agree. How cute, someone in the back row giggles. Sounds suspiciously like the voice from a small child. Silence, heathen, the man with the knife hisses. The room quickly turns quiet again. Any sense of bemusement has vanished. Father Dagon, Mother Hydra, accept this sacrifice. Without hesitation, he plunges the knife into your hearts, and again and again. Sacrifice to the gods. You are offered as a sacrifice to Dagon. Congratulations? Debatable on the congratulations part. So I just finished recording the episode, and then I decided to take a look at the achievements, and one of them mentioned you played a creepy game, which I don't know. So the only thing I can think of is none of those. Ridiculous. Even ancient C64 has some exciting games on offer than this arcade. After you resurrect yourself, reassure yourself that all the machines in this place are not worth your time. You decide to focus on your mission again. Never mind. Okay, hold on. Retro games? There's a bunch of options in retro, right? This one? At least you heard of the other games. Ooh, here we go. At least you heard of the other games, but you never heard of Pixel Boys. I hadn't either. I thought it might be like Hubert ripoff or something. The machine looks incredibly old. You put in a quarter and begin. Turns out to be some kind of puzzle with geometric shapes and colors. The soundtrack is super trippy. Your thoughts turn one final time to the missing girl that you're supposed to find, but when the game starts, you devote yourself to it entirely. It's entertaining. Switch another game, keep playing. The subsequent levels involve more shapes and colors, but no missing girls. Next level? Shame. The next level adds in numbers. Yeah, exactly what every child wants in their games. Maths. This is boring, you think to yourself. Stop playing. Keep going. That's a weird way to do it. Even more numbers and letters. Come on, you don't come here for an algebra course. It's getting worse. Stop. Keep playing? The screen fills with numbers and special signs. Slowly, pattern seems to emerge. If only your nose would stop bleeding. Outside of the known universe, the blind and manic demon Solon dances around himself. The piper's flute keeps the idiotic chaos at bay, threatening to devote the whole cosmos, bubbling and shapeless Adson, the center of all eternity, or at its ever-expanding edges, endless eons since the inception of all beginning and until he puts an end to existence itself, soul-destroying and demented, the ever-glowing atomic fire forever he will. You wake up. Big mistake. You instantly experience severe pain in your temples. You curl up in a state of chronic self-pity. Slowly, too slowly, the pain subsides to a rhythmic pulsation behind your forehead. You open your eyes again. Everything around you is much too bright. It stinks of vomit and garbage. The latter is explained by garbage bags you realize you've been using as pillows. Tired and trembling, you stand up and stay yourself against the wall. That's by far the worst hangover you've ever experienced in your long career as a semi-professional hangover collector. It's the kind of hangover that all other hangovers pray to hangover Sunday school. What's going on? You try to remember details about where you are right now and how you got here. Your day of birth, anything? You touch your face and realize that your mouth is covered up by dried blood. Your memory slowly returns. Yes, you were in the alley behind the amusement arcade. You're in Innsmouth. You're looking for a child? Maybe, but everything after entering that place is gone. You seem to have been thrown out a back exit. There's an old bear keg on which some rainwater is pooled. You wash your face and stagger back, unsure what have happened. Huh. Okay, and now we're just to here again. Well, that was definitely an interesting episode of the Innsmouth case. Definitely shorter than some of the others have been in recent days, and definitely weirder, somehow weirder than the last few. From what I can tell, I think I'll head back to the town square again. Now that we've gone down the alleys, looked at the shops, looked at the arcades, and now gotten that ending where we get sacrificed, I think now we should be able to move on to go back to the town square and maybe go to the town hall or the police station. Just try and find something, you know? But yeah. Right now, I'm gonna end this episode of the Innsmouth case off here. If you enjoyed, think about leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all that. Interesting. But yeah, right now, I'm gonna end this episode of the Innsmouth case off here. If you enjoyed, there's a playlist down in the description where you can watch all past and future episodes as well. Think about leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Other than that, be good, be well, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Goodbye.